Arirang Acting Award goes to the films and shows we unofficially decided on. Introducing to you Korean cinema and media, this is AAA. Wow, it feels interesting to be doing this intro in front of someone I just met 8 minutes ago. But it is going to be a fresh new episode of AAA today because we have a fresh new face in the studio. Please welcome director Hyun in the studio. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Really, yeah.
Could
Hello.
you introduce yourselves to our listeners, please?
Yeah, my name is Hyun. In Korean, Han Hyun-sung. I'm a filmmaker based here in South Korea, and I'm really excited to have a nice chat with you guys.
And you came here because you know Jerome.
Yes, I do.
Where'd you guys meet?
We met at we were both screening at the Vancouver International Film Festival last year, and there were only around 3 Korean films playing that year, and it's just the 3 Koreans just kind of huddled together and got to know each other.
Right. And you mentioned, we talked a little bit during the song break, but you mentioned you've been living here and there all over the world.
Yeah.
Where have you been living in? So Korea.
Yeah. I've been here for 5 years.
Okay.
I lived in Dubai.
Dubai.
I know, right?
I know this is a cliche question, but have you
ahead.
had Dubai chocolate before?
You know, I after I left Dubai, the Dubai chocolate blew up.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, Dubai.
Anyways, Dubai.
Yeah.
I lived in Russia.
Oh, do you speak?
I don't.
Okay.
Every time I moved to another country, I kind of forgot the language.
All
so.
right.
And I also lived in Morocco.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
I know,
Okay.
right?
First person I've met, but okay.
Yeah, that was a while ago. And then the States.
The States. Did you study in the States?
Yes, I did. I was in New York. Yeah.
Oh, NYU, right?
Yes, I was.
What were you studying in NYU?
Film and TV.
Film.
Yeah,
All
so-
right. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're in Korea now, currently.
Yes, I am.
What country was? What was like the most like suitable to your lifestyle?
Ooh. The most fun I had was New York.
Okay.
It's definitely the most fun. But
Okay.
also the most expensive.
Right.
It's like a taxi ride from here to, let's say Itaewon is
Yes.
like, 15,000won, like
Yeah.
only like $15. That amount of length in New York, it's like $60. So
yeah, most expensive, but it was most fun for
most
you.
fun for sure.
Yeah, and you said you've been here for 5 years in Korea?
Yes.
So that's like recent 5 years.
Well, I was born here, all that included.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's not a long time.
Yeah, I moved here in 2022. So
That's shorter than me, and I was born and raised in another country too.
Oh,
Wow,
right,
okay.
right.
So you speak perfect Korean and English, so
I do.
we'll
I
have.
try.
No, you're very good. Yeah, they're all surprised. They're just like, Dubai, Russia, what?
Wow,
yeah, crazy. So we do want to talk about more of your film career as well. After you finished studying, you were gonna work at like a movie, like film distribution company.
Yeah, I was planning on that, and then I decided, hey, I have so many ideas. I should try out one of them before I get a job.
Yeah.
And then I made this film, and it turned out pretty well.
Yeah, so now
and
you're
it's made its
stuck
round.
now. You can't work at a company. You gotta create
now. I can't have a real job.
And we do want to talk about this film that did very well. It's called 님과 함께 디스코, Get Thee on the Dance Floor.
Yes.
Could you explain to us?
It's a just in terms of the premise, it's about a middle-aged son who invites his old ailing father to a bathhouse, and it's about their trip, but then a very mysterious kind of threatening caretaker kind of tags along, and it's about the feud between our protagonist's middle-aged son and the caretaker.
Okay. We also have a poster ready, which is one of the many posters you have online. We have a picture of very interesting, okay. 님과 함께 디스코. You can see kind of like that stampy kind of symbol. You mentioned you have other posters as well, right?
Yeah, that's that was one of our very B-side
posters. I don't know where our
Yeah, I
team
didn't
found
even know
it,
it was
but
available on. Yeah, it was online.
right. And it did very
Oh,
well.
it's on the front. Oh, I see.
Oh, in a Korean. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
It did very well. It won an award, right?
Yes, it did,
At
yeah.
one of the really famous festivals in Korea,
In,
Bucheon
Bucheon.
International Fantastic Film Festival. What was that like, getting that award?
Oh, it was great. I mean, it was just great.
Did you see it coming? Let's be honest. Did you see it?
I didn't see it coming.
Not even the slightest
I was
bit?
there to. I'm sorry. I'm very honest. If it's great, I say. I just went there kind of just to hand out business cards and kind of like make as much as connections as much as possible. But then and then it won the award, so I was really happy.
Yeah. And is there a way our listeners can check this film out online currently?
It's right now our festival circuit just ended, so we're optioning for a streaming service, but it might come to Europe first.
Okay.
So the French audience, any French listeners can stream it first.
We definitely have listeners in Europe. I know that for sure. So, all right, that's interesting.
Thank you.
And you mentioned like a bathhouse.
Yes.
So in Korea or like a lot of Asian countries, it is kind of common, saunas, bathhouses. But is there a reason why you like chose that environment?
I didn't. It's less about I try not to incorporate as much as like my personal stories to movies. I just found that location very, very interesting, and I heard a lot about it while growing up.
You've never been growing up?
Maybe once or twice.
But you don't remember?
No, not at all.
Okay.
So I just thought, I thought it was a very interesting location, a very Korean location.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay. And you have a really funny episode that happened while you were filming. All of your staffs had to like sleep at the sauna. What happened?
So I remember the day very clearly. It was 2022, August 10th, and it had a historical flooding.
Wow.
And that was the day one of our shoot, and then no one could return back home. Almost half of the crew couldn't return back home.
Wasn't this like summer? Like
yes, it was.
I remember because I wasn't in Korea that time, and I read the news, and it was like crazy dangerous.
Yeah.
And so you had to stay inside the sauna?
Oh no, I could go back home, but I felt bad, so I had to stay. I was like the Titanic captain.
Right, so you guys all just spent the night there.
Yeah.
Wait, you had all the gear too, right?
Yeah.
So it was just on like some sort of...
Oh, no. We were in Hongdae, which is a very different side of Gangnam. But Gangnam, people who were living on the Gangnam side were just all stranded. So,
right. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm very excited to check it out when we get a chance to. And you also mentioned in an interview somewhere that you watch a lot of films. Like you even watched one a day.
I did.
How long did that streak last for?
Until I had real adult responsibilities. I'm just kidding. I mean,
just because you liked it?
Yeah, it was kind of at first was because I liked it, and then it kind of became like an addiction.
Right. Was there like a standard of choosing today's film, or it was like whatever you were craving?
I was kind of going through different directors, and I was like, it was like a bingo card for me. I was like, I have to do all these directors or else.
Right.
I don't know.
All right. Bahar says, it's my turn to flex, Ricky, because we have a listener in Vancouver that got to watch Jerome's film in theaters. And so everybody was very jealous because they released it in Vancouver first. But we have another listener in Europe that gets to watch your film for the first time. So yeah, take turns flexing, everybody.
And, I'm so excited.
Yeah, send us reviews as well. We'll be reading them on the show. Anyway, so thank you for being here today on AAA. We will be talking about a Korean film that you chose. Yeah. Could you tell us what film you brought in today?
Yeah, so I brought in My Dear Enemy from 2008. It's a very criminally underrated romantic comedy. It really changed my perception. I had very strong prejudices towards that genre.
Okay.
But it really opened it up for me.
All
and I became
right.
very open-minded after watching that film.
Right. It's called 멋진 하루 in Korean, and it stars Chun Do-yeon and Ha Jung-woo. We will get to what the film is more about and more of the cast, but let's go listen to a score from the film, and we'll be back, guys. It's an interesting title. It's 10:12 a.m., literally like the time stamp.
When the movie starts.
Right.
So.
Right. Very clever. We'll be back after we listen to this song by Fooditorium, 10:12 a.m. from My Dear Enemy. getting us in the more kind of jazzy vibe. That was called 10:12 a.m. Let's talk about the film, what it's about. Could you give us an introduction about, what goes on in the film?
So, first of all, the film takes place in the mid 2000s. So it starts at 10 in the morning. Our protagonist, her name is Hisu, and she's in her mid 30s, and she's played by Chun Do-yeon. She shows up at a racetrack to confront her ex-lover, Byung-un, who's also in his mid 30s, maybe late 30s.
Okay.
And she confronts him for a year-old unpaid debt of $3,500.
Yes. Just randomly appears.
Randomly,
Yeah.
And so he decides that Byung-un takes Hisu on a trip through Seoul, and he shakes down one lover after another and one friend to get the loan money and pay her off. And then each encounter just gets even more uncomfortable. At the same time, our protagonist realizes how charming her ex-lover really was.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a road movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a road movie, and I feel like a really big part of this film is how you can see Seoul, but it's not like there's like pastel filters on it to make it super pretty. It's not like they go to the prettiest places or something. It's not like they go to Hangang or anything.
Right.
Yeah, it's like you get to see realistically the vibes of Seoul, like Seoul in general. Yeah, and I think that's why our listeners might really enjoy this film. Geekdigi says, I swear Ha-jung-woo is in every single Korean movie.
He's just a master.
Yeah, he's just great. That's why. Could you introduce to us the cast as well, please? The
Yes,
crew?
of course. So in terms of crew, the director, his name is Lee Yoon-ki. And he doesn't have that big of a filmography. He made a film with Chun Do-yeon again in 2016 called A Man and a Woman. He made his rounds starting in Vancouver Film Festival with Ad-lib Night in 2005.
Okay.
Yes. Writer Park Eun-young, Lee Yoon-gi here as well. And one interesting thing is that this has an original writer. An original, it's based off of a short story. It's a Japanese short story by this writer Azuko Taira.
Oh, it's interesting how they got a story from another country and like soulified it very well.
Yeah, soulified it.
Soulified it, okay.
The editor is Kim Hyung-ju, cinematographer Choi Sang-ho, and composer, which we'll be hearing a lot from, Puditorium.
Ooh, okay. Jayman says, is this on Netflix? So before coming to the show today, I was like, I gotta watch this film to talk about it tomorrow. So yesterday I watched it and I watched on Netflix. So you guys can probably find it as well, unless it's not on the Netflix in your country. But it's pretty easy to like watch any type of films these days. So yeah, it'll be approachable, and we're gonna try our best to sell it to you guys today to get you guys to watch it.
It's really worth your time.
Yes. And we did kind of talk about the cast, but let's talk about really how amazing these casts are. Starting off with Chun Do-yeon.
So one thing that we got to understand is that Chun Do-yeon, who is one of the best actresses in Korea.
Yes.
The year before, she won Best Actress at Cannes Film Festival.
Yes.
For this role in this film called Secret Sunshine, and it was very maximalist, very, very heartstring performances. She was bawling and crying and shouting. But for this film, she does the complete opposite.
Yeah, it's more very casual.
Yeah.
And I heard that it's harder to nail casual acting than like screaming, yelling, crying. Because it's harder to portray your emotions when it's more casual.
It's more about discipline.
Right.
And also in just my assessment with this actress performance, Chun Do-yeon's performance, it was a masterful practice of like emotional restraint. She was holding it all back, and then just you get pay attention to her twitches, her even her mascara is performing.
And like you mentioned, this was the first film she decided to do after winning the award at Cannes. So everybody was like, why? Because this was a low budget movie at the time. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so everybody was like, why? And also there's Ha-jung-woo.
Right. And Ha-jung-woo is, even though he's our antagonist, if you watch this film, you can only watch him. He is just omnipresent almost.
He's great.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone like him in real life.
Yeah.
But I feel like he exists.
And I think another interesting thing to point is that similar to Chun Do-yeon, before My Dear Enemy was released, he played the main villain in this really intense Korean masterpiece called The Chaser.
추격자.
추격자.
Oh my gosh. he is horrifying there.
One of the most terrifying villains in Korean film history.
Yes. And he did this right after.
Right after that.
Such different
It's
vibes.
such a breath of fresh air of, as we will tell you more
Right.
about the movie, it's a breath of fresh air of optimism. And
Yeah. He also did an interview recently saying that when he was filming this film with Chun Do-yeon, he said that he was still such a like hube, like younger like actor compared to Chun Do-yeon, because she was like so big. It was like right after her big award, and he said that he was so nervous, and he was like, how dare I be in the same screen as her, as like ex-lovers. And so he was so nervous that every day he would arrive like an hour and a half earlier than her, even though he had nothing to do. Like he didn't have to get his makeup done and stuff. Like he would just go and wait. But on the screen, you can't feel any like differences. It just feels like they're both just, actors. Like you can't see he's nervous or scared, or it doesn't feel like either actor or actress is overcoming the other one. And so they have great balance in their acting as well. I wanted to point that out. Rick Al says, Ha Jung-woo can play anything. Really, just watch this film. That's proof.
I think for this film, though, Ha Jung-woo mentions a lot that this is the closest to himself.
Which just makes us like him better.
Exactly.
Just even more.
Exactly.
You guys gotta understand that the character is like really truly one of a kind. And I just feel like if you have one of these characters in your life, someone like him, just things would be so much better.
Exactly. It's even though he is playing a very con man archetype, right? His devil may care optimism.
Yeah.
His ability to really charm everyone near him, despite owing them a lot of money.
Yeah. It's crazy.
The film, I think, is about a protagonist who became very cynical because of the harsh circumstance of her life. Finding optimism through our antagonist, which is Ha Jung-woo.
If we say it the Gen Z way, it's the ultimate golden retriever and black cat energy. It's the ultimate. Like you guys just have to watch it.
So I'll change more Gen Z dictionary.
More Gen Z.
More Gen Z dictionary.
You're Gen Z too.
Oh, me too. I am.
What do you mean? You're very Gen Z. Okay. Yeah, you're like younger than Jerome. You're
Yes,
like
I am.
around my age, so
Yeah.
Anyway, this was released in 2008. When did you first watch this film?
I watched this film, I think, first time in freshman year of college, so I was 2018.
So you watched it in New York?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Just on a streaming service,
Right.
And then back then I thought it was pretty okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What changed your mind?
I think the more the second time I rewatched it 2 years ago.
Okay.
After I was wrapping up my movie.
Yes.
And it
What changed? What changed you, bro? What changed your perspective?
I come from a background where I was quite snobby, a lot of experimental art house films.
All right.
But watching this film, I was realizing how much within the confines of a very popular romantic comedy genre, you could have such an interesting and complex character that can, performing without having to, in the confines of romantic genre, performing without being too,
overdoing anything, doing anything cliche.
Exactly.
Yeah, it truly is a one of a kind. We are going to talk about more, charms of this film and points of why you have to watch, why it's different from other rom-com movies. But we are going to go listen to one more score from this film. This time we're going to 5:15 p.m. So we started at a.m. and now we're going over to 5:15 p.m. Once again, written by Foodatorium, and this is from My Dear Enemy, and we'll be back. That was 5:15 p.m. And Raquel says, I haven't seen the movie, but the music so far really sells it as a more lighthearted kind of movie. I want to talk about this because before I watched the movie, I saw the poster and I was like, this is going to be like a strong, mellow, dark romance film, because if you look at the poster, you could just see the two actors like Chun Do-yeon and Ha Jung-woo, and when you think of Chun Do-yeon, Ha Jung-woo, it's kind of like, oh gee, they're onto something.
Yeah.
It's gonna be deep, it's gonna be dark, but it's very bubbly. So that's why I was really surprised as well, and that's why you guys too don't get fooled by the poster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like I expect from these two actors we would experience such very very strong performances.
Yeah, exactly.
But the film doesn't even have any imposed like sentimentality to it.
Yeah.
It's very lighthearted, and it's a very casual film.
Yeah, it's so casual, and I don't know how they made it so impactful but still being so casual. So we are talking about the film My Dear Enemy, 멋진 하루 here on AAA. We're going to move on to 3 reasons to watch that Hyun brought in. So what's the first reason?
Right off the bat, just the characters.
Of course.
We have it's impossible not to just talk about Ha Jung-woo about this film. Most of the film is just us observing Ha Jung-woo. Yeah, he is, starts right off the bat. We are very frustrated with him. He's a bit of a nuisance. He owes people money. He can't stop talking, right?
He's a little annoying.
He's very annoying.
Yes, very annoying.
But as the film progresses, you realize that he is one, he's hilarious. I want to define 2 terms in Korea, the 아재 개그 and like 능글 맞음, right?
Yes, our listeners know a lot of Korean, so they probably know 아재 개그, like
아재
the
개그.
아저씨
Right.
gag.
Yeah.
It's like the dad jokes.
Dadcore.
Yeah,
exactly.
dadcore.
Yeah. So he excels at that humor, even though he's in his 30s. And that's kind of the way he kind of navigates or escapes from any obstacles.
Yeah.
But at the same time, behind that light facade, you realize that he is a very genuine person. He does care about people.
Yeah, it's like, and I saw some people writing like character analyses about them, and somebody mentioned that Ha Jung-woo's character, he seems very honest, but you realize at a certain point you don't really know what he's thinking. Like you don't know what he's been through. Because you know how people say the brightest people have like the darkest stories?
Exactly.
Like there's like these scenes when he says like, oh, I was sad when you broke up with me. Like he mentions that, yeah, I have sad feelings too.
Yeah.
And on the other side, Chun Do-yeon's character, she's so cynical and she's very cranky.
Exactly.
But
cranky.
she's very cranky, but you realize that she's being really genuine and just authentic, and she's being really honest. Yeah, I think I liked that kind of like difference that they had. Like one seems like he's going to be the honest one,
Right.
but you realize there's more to him than what you see.
I think what the film, I know I'm going to get into this deeper later on to our podcast, our talk.
Yes.
Is the way the film kind of tells us about the character. There's no to tell us the story is there's no flashbacks. We barely get any information about these characters.
Right.
But as the movie progresses, we kind of start inferring what their lives could have been based on very small details.
Yeah.
And I think that's the kind of element of surprise that I want to see in a lot of movies. And very bold, honestly, because it means that a movie doesn't have a hook.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a hook,
It doesn't have a hook.
but it gets you just watching.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the first 5 minutes, I would honestly, for the contemporary, our generation, it's a bit of a snooze fest for the first 5 minutes. Right?
Yeah, you're kind of like, so what's going to happen?
Yeah, like, ooh, like,
Yeah.
like air pollution everywhere.
Yeah, it could feel a little boring. I could see, and I'm somebody that really likes strong films, like everybody dies in the first scene kind of stuff. So when I started, I was kind of like, all right, it's for work, I'll watch it. But then I realized at a certain point, I was no longer bored and I was invested. Like, are they going to get all the money? How many more people are they going to meet?
Exactly.
Yeah, so we did talk about Ha Jung-woo, and also a movie critic, very famous in Korea, Lee Dong-jin. He mentioned that he thinks that this film is Ha Jung-woo's best acting, which is so bold of him to say because he's been great in many films, but yeah, that's his opinion as well. And also Chun Do-yeon, we cannot forget about her. She's
I love that. I know you mentioned it earlier too. It's Chun Do-yeon said that this was her favorite performance, the favorite performance.
Right.
And she's not really doing much. She's mostly just
Yeah.
the observer, and she is, it almost the way the film functions is that we, in terms of the structure of the scenes, that we start off with Jeon Deon's close up, her judging Ha Jung-woo, and then Ha Jung-woo does something funny or finds a very witty way to kind of get out of the situation,
Yes.
and we cut back to Jeon Deon's close up. She's just looking.
Yeah. Very judgy.
Yeah, but still she does it. She judges well.
Yeah, she judges well.
She judges well.
Yeah, if you're gonna judge guys, judge well.
That's
Also,
a good moral.
I love her makeup as well. We
Yeah.
have a picture on the screen right now. She has this smoky look, and because this movie is literally like in one day, we don't see any like wardrobe changes, and it's just. That's another reason why the film could come off as like boring, because literally we just have characters that don't change. Nothing like too crazy happens to them, and it's just like we follow them around in the span of a day. Yeah.
Span of 8 hours.
Span of 8 hours,
Just 8
yeah.
hours.
And also I read that apparently the main character, Pyung-un, he was based off of the director's friend. So apparently there's a real living person out there like Pyung-un. I don't know how much they took off of him, but I want to meet him. I want to befriend him. So, okay, the characters are one of the reasons to watch.
Yes.
What's another reason?
Now this one's a bit of a interesting. Right off the bat, if you watch it, cinematography isn't the first thing that pops out to you. The film is really based around the story and performances. But I think that if you really kind of look through the kind of so actually, let me start from here.
Okay.
Mid 2000s Korea, I barely remember it. I was too young. Same here, same for you as well. But I know for a fact that Seoul in itself is not. Most days there's a lot of air pollution. It's very milky.
Right.
It's not as you mentioned. It doesn't have pastel colors. It's not as gorgeous. But I think it really, to me, showing Korea as it is, Seoul as it is, evoked a lot more nostalgia for me. And that's how I felt. That's why I chose to rewatch New York, even though I really resonated very well.
Yeah, it's like if I Gen Z it again, it's like seeing so many people take pictures with like filters, and then it's like seeing a selfie someone took with the basic iPhone camera.
Yeah.
It's like more natural, but it's more genuine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right, okay.
It's earnest. It's sincere. And it has its just visually, right?
Right.
Outside of just cinematography, it has its silly moments too. It's like observing Ha Jung-woo's haircut. It's wow, that haircut really worked in the 2000s, didn't it? It's like a Lego brickhead.
Right. Yeah, you can really feel the time.
The time, but I think it really evoked a very strong nostalgia. And there's also there's also just in terms of camera work, just the technical aspect of it. There's very subtle playfulness throughout it. So Ha Jung-woo plays like let's say he's a man child.
Yeah.
Right? The way sometimes the camera frames him, because the film primarily takes place in a car. He's framed like a child in a backseat.
Yeah.
At times.
Yeah.
Very playful. Very. It's like a wink towards the audience.
Yeah.
And the last thing is the score. I mean, I know you briefly touched upon it, but who doesn't like a Woody Allen-esque jazzy score? I mean,
that's perfect. It's very Woody Allen.
Yeah.
It's very Korean Woody Allen, and it just makes you feel good. No big reason. It just makes you feel good.
I just want to hop into a cafe and grab a cappuccino.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so overall, you should watch this film because you have one more reason.
This is just an overall of what this film does to me. I think this is where it bridges the gap between your very snobby art house audiences and even the most the easygoing everyday just movie lovers.
Yeah.
I think this is where people both sides can just enjoy and notice things that just enjoy noticing different aspects of the film together, and while simultaneously just enjoying being with the character,
and just like the small things,
Exactly.
the small things
Small
you see.
gestures,
Yeah,
right.
it's definitely just like a very healing film. Although in the openings, like in the intro, I was kind of like, this is gonna stress me out because all I saw was Chun-Dun being mad at Ha Jung-won being like, give me my money, and I was like, all right, this is gonna be stressful. But then it's like a healing trip you take with the characters.
But the reason why I think it stands out from other healing films or romance films is that it performs, it's masterfully like restrains the practice of drama
Right.
And it really and the humor is not forced. It's not imposed.
Yeah. It's not like laugh right now.
Right.
It's not like that.
And they're very beautiful moments that takes from like literature, like narrative conventions, and which I'll dive more into later. But it does that with a rom-com twist.
Yeah. Bahar says, I have the perfect movie to watch on the train now. I'm convinced.
Oh, that's
Yay,
a good choice.
we're convincing people.
It's a good, yeah. There we go. We got one more audience.
Right. We talked about some reasons to watch the film, the charms. Let's talk about some scenes that you like as well.
Yeah. So this movie has a bunch of jokes. And I thought about it, and because I'm a bit of a newbie in terms of just kind of talking, it feels weird to just describe a joke.
Okay.
So I'm just letting you know there is, on YouTube, you can find clips
links,
of clips of the 99% dark chocolate gift scene. And Loteria, sorry, it's not Loteria, it's KFC scene.
Yeah.
And if just watch those clips, and if that's up your lane, and then go, that's the film for you.
Yeah, let's actually explain it to them a little bit. We don't have a lot of time, but let me explain the dark chocolate
okay, go ahead.
scene. So Ha Jung-woo is in the car of Chun Do-yeon, and then he's like making these like jokes, and they're just talking. Chun Do-yeon is still very cranky, and then there's like dark chocolate in the seats, like in the cup holder, because Koreans have a lot of dark chocolate in their cup holder because it prevents them from being sleepy or something.
Or smoking.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. And then he like picks it up, and then he's kind of like, oh, it's dark chocolate, like blah. And then she doesn't even answer him. She's just like, okay, whatever, talk. And then after they visit the first person that he asks money for, he's being all like, 회장님, like he's being all this like nice kid to her, and then
Mrs. Han.
and then Chun Do-yeon is still very cranky, and then before they leave, Ha Jung was like, I have a gift for you. And he hands her
99% dark chocolate
that was in Chun Do-yeon's car.
Yeah.
And so you see Chun Do-yeon's face like, what is this man doing?
And I love the dialogue towards the end where he goes, the Mrs. Han, the person who received the gift, she's like, 99%? Makes me melancholy.
Yeah.
And then Ha Jung-woo goes, that's right. Like as if I will always be 1%.
Not enough for you.
Yeah.
And it just shows how he turns every situation into like a witty one.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is.
But
very
in a way, we find him, because he's kind of scheming. He really thought of that right before he came.
Yeah.
But then it is kind of impressive and kind of lovely.
Yeah. They kind of there's like a dialogue that explains his character as someone that could sell air conditioners in the Arctic or something.
Yeah, someone that can sell water to a fish.
Yeah. It's literally that explains, guys. Maybe after we listen to a song, if we have more time left, we could talk about the burger scene as well. So guys, we'll be back after we listen to one more score. Now we're at nighttime. This is 9:10 p.m. by Putatorium from My Dear Enemy. That was 9:10 p.m. We are going to talk about the ending of the movie. It's not really like a spoiler, guys, because there's nothing like too crazy that happens in the movie in the first place. Yeah, so there is something significant though. It's the
right. I feel like just before that, I feel like in terms of the film, the main question is if she will get her $3,500 or not. Right.
Right.
That's how it starts off. So we won't talk about that. But in terms of the ending, it ends on a departure between the two, right?
Yeah, because they do have to say goodbye.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then so she drops him off somewhere.
Yeah, she drops him off. And before that, there's another running joke that as the day goes on, the window wipers progressively gets more broken.
Right, because they are going around in Chun Do-yeon's car, and then she gets again annoyed at the fact that it's broken. Yeah. He tries to fix it a little bit in between.
Yeah, it makes it even worse.
Yeah, it's just broken, and you can't use the wipers, and it starts raining as well. Yeah, so there is a broken wiper, but then
towards the end, this whole time we think that Ha-jung was kind of incompetent in terms of kind of doing things for her.
Yeah.
But we realized that Ha-jung has fixed, during the departure, that Ha-jung has fixed the wipers for her.
Yes.
And then instead of waving goodbye, Jeon Do-young waves goodbye with the wipers.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. That's really, it kind of also symbolizes how maybe people were saying he fixed her as well, like the wipers through that 8 hours that day. Yeah. So today we talked about the film My Dear Enemy, 멋진 하루 here on AAA with Hyun. What was today like?
Oh, I loved it. It was really fun.
Yeah, and it's so fast, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you prepared so much for us.
I had like 3, I had so much, but it's okay.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. Please come back, to talk more.
I love talking about movies.
Yeah.
So much better than other jobs that I do.
Right, because we can just chit chat about stuff we love. Yeah.
Oh my God. Please.
Yeah. When Jeromeo is busy, this seat is for you.
Perfect.
So thank you for the film recommendation. We'll be looking forward to having you back in the studio. We are going to say goodbye to today's episode, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Hyun.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Did you enjoy today's episode of Arirang Acting Awards? If you did, don't forget to join us live every Monday at 3 p.m.